there's been a shift in our country, probably what seems to be internationally, but mainly in the USA. There's maybe not a major shift, right? It, if you look back in recent years, probably like 5 years, you'll see that something like this is, yes, it's new, but it's it's not at the same time. It's just been ramping up. Um, there's a lot of schizo posting about who did it to the big man, CK. Um, but all these events that have happened since really just bring this all together and really highlight the shift. This is going to be more of a ad lib video, not really scripted out. Not that I've used scripts for more than one video, but I'm trying to move more to a scripted format. But I wanted to make a video about it the moment CK happened, but I didn't want to jump the gun, and as well as give the man his time, along with Irina, 3 cops that have been shot, killed, 3 ICE detainees, a life flight helicopter. Violence is ramping up very swiftly in this country. Some of it randomly, some of it politically motivated, and some of it's just downright evil. Um, there's not always a motive, and that's kind of scary to think about. If you take the catalyst of, we'll say, I'll say, I'm going to be talking about the rise of left wing violence. Um, Now, this doesn't say that there's absolutely zero right wing violence, but neo Nazis are not conservatives. You know, um, neo Nazis are their own thing. The right wing doesn't even tend to claim them, right? Conservatives are not alt right. Republicans are not alt right. Moderates are not alt right. Liberals almost seem, not all of them, but the Liberal Party seems to be pushing more and more towards radical leftists. And maybe that's just a matter of what's pushed out in the media. Maybe it's just a natural development of society before a major event, um, like an uprising, like a civil war, like civil unrests, like plenty of things that will change the way that the everyday person looks at society, looks at their security of their neighborhood, like looks at how they feel safe in their home. Maybe they don't feel safe in their home anymore, depending on where you live, right? Um, that's really the topic of today's video. And I'm sorry if it's not very well put together. I'll do my best to keep it relatively structured, as well as keeping it, how do I put it, facts based. Keeping it facts based, and not letting my bias into the picture as much as possible. Thank you for your time. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of videos out there already covering the topic of CK and his assassination. There's plenty of conspiracies going around on who actually did it, and I think that horse has been beat enough. I'll touch on it. I'm not going to give you my thoughts on it. I'm just going to look at it added with everything else that's going on and try to put it together into a package of what does this mean for us, right? Um, Going back to the start of the month, right? It's not really in public news and everything like that, right? None of this major stuff really is ever in the public. Um, Everything's covered up. I'm not going to say media's doing it on purpose, but everything, there's always a bigger story. There's always a bigger story that gets more attention. Um, there's going to be a mass FEMA reconstruction. It's supposed to start in October. Allegedly, it's going to start in October. Um, this one hits kind of close to home for me. I was I spent a lot of my personal time in Asheville, the West North Carolina and Tennessee area, helping with the Hurricane Helene relief, um, working with search and rescue guys there, clearing out paths that allowed firefighters to actually reach those who were cut off because the trails or quote unquote mountain roads um, that they used to get to and from society were just completely cut off. Um, and seeing what FEMA did there really sickened me. Um, they're removing a lot of personnel that were involved with the floods in Texas and other natural disaster incidents of recent. They're looking at making the cabinet level agency, meaning that now reports directly to the president. So we need to take that into account when it comes to voting, right? Just another thing on top of the grocery list of everything else. Um, we've got signs of economic strain, right? This is nothing new for us. The job book posted, I forgot who posted the job book, but basically it's a plus or minus of is there more jobs open than there are people finding jobs, or are more people looking for jobs than there are open? Um, there is a higher number of jobless benefits applications, um, as well as a quote unquote beige book denoting that there's a slowdown for consumers and businesses. This is likely to do with some of the tariffs and stuff. Remember this from the start of the month? Like it was pretty fresh at that time. Just keep your eyes out in the news, right? Maybe get some things that are worth bartering, right? Whether that be gold, silver, non-perishable food, uh, water storage that you're willing to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to barter this, or have enough to where you're being told you're going to be helped in 2 weeks, and you got 4 weeks of water, right? Be like, okay, I could sacrifice like a day or two to trade for something, right? Um, as well as nicotine. People will go crazy without cigarettes, without zins. Zins are a huge thing nowadays, right? Let's just get some barterable items that will retain their value if the US dollar no longer is valued the way that it is. Um, as well as touching on the FEMA stuff, right? As prepared citizens, we really need to take a look at who's running FEMA. Reason for this being is that greatly affects how they operate in your neighborhoods. I'm going to leave some details out, but when I was assisting in Asheville area, right, more so Boone, Batcave, North Carolina area, um, I got stopped. Me and my buddies that were in a truck um, with a bunch of MRE boxes, water, blankets, propane heaters. Um, we got stopped by a FEMA roadblock, and you're looking at these three, four guys sitting in this intersection, and you look behind them and you see piles, and I mean piles of prepackaged food, water bottle cases, clothing, uh, like hygiene stuff. You see piles of it, and it's all been ransacked. Um, there was literally a dude going through a box of MREs, picking out snacks during this interaction, and they stopped us and tried taking our supplies, um, and that happened. It's not okay. Hopefully, this reformation will fix some of the issues they've had with their reaction to it. Irina, right? Um, this was a big deal. Obviously, it was a big deal. It it was crazy. The world saw a young woman lose her life for no reason, no reason at all. Let alone the fact that this guy that allegedly killed her, I have to say allegedly, I don't think the case has gone through yet, allegedly murdered this woman. We all saw it. He killed her. He murdered her. We watched that, and I think it really shifted a lot of people's minds of we're not we're not safe in public as much as we thought we were. Publicity is not security, and I'll touch more on that here in a bit. But publicity is not security, right? Just because you are in broad daylight on public transportation doesn't mean you're safe anymore. That guy was able to leave the scene of the crime. How crazy is that? This goes into the Charlie Kirk situation, Big CK. Um, everyone saw that as well. That is like for sure an international um, incident where people in Korea, France, Europe as a whole, right? They're they're all, I wouldn't say grieving, but probably grieving. Yeah, they're all holding like vigils for Irina and CK, right? That's that's crazy. That just shows you how widespread these incidents truly are. And what happens in America, for the most part, floods into the rest of the world. You know, um, I'm not saying that we're the best in the world. Yeah, I am. USA is the best country in the world. Um, but a lot of people follow trends because of what America is doing. Um, it's likely that in the next 3 to 4 years, we'll start seeing this degradation happen in European countries outside of the issues with immigrants and other violent immigrants they're having right now. It's truly just astonishing. Um, Same day as the CK incident, there was a school shooting where three people were injured, one being the gunmen themselves. Um, it's it's absurd. Um, it's frightening, and quite frankly, to say the least, it's telling. Um, what what comes with the applause of killing a man because of differing opinions? The silencing of the murder of an innocent woman, a war refugee as at that. I'm pretty sure she came from war torn Ukraine to escape that, right? Just to bleed out on public transit. That's absurd. There was little to no media coverage of the school shooting. Um, what shift is this, really? I mean, how often do you look at the news and you kind of just be like, well, okay, there's another public shooting. Oh, okay, there was another shooting at the Target. Oh, there was another school shooting. Okay, whatever. It doesn't affect me. It does affect you. All of this affects you. It affects all of us. The mob mentality is really where this all festers, right? Um, the echo chamber of the internet is loud. It gives a false sense of belonging to a lot of people with radical ideas, a false sense of righteousness to people with absolutely screwed up morals and ideals. Um, whether it's killing someone because of their skin color, differing opinions, religious beliefs, or anything else, you can find a place on the internet where that is not only welcomed, but reciprocated. As in, you will find like minded people who will only strengthen your ideals as you strengthen theirs. The algorithm of the internet that we live in is made to put us in contact with people, with like-minded people. It is made to show us videos, right? Look at YouTube, show us videos that it thinks we will like, that it thinks we will watch. Um, it's frightening how easily you can find an echo chamber where killing somebody because of religious moral, um, or just downright human rights beliefs, um, is applauded. What what does this mean? Taking all of these into account, what does this mean for us when we're just out and about, and we're at work, when we're going grocery shopping, when we're at the gas station? What does this mean? Um, I'm not trying to black pill or like schizo post or anything like that, but like I've stopped scrolling on my phone in public. Like if I'm like chilling at the gas station, pumping my gas, I'm not scrolling on my phone anymore. I'm not gonna lie, I used to. I used to doom scroll little Instagram, TikTok things. I used to doom scroll that. If I was at like a self checkout, my little iPad kid self scrolling or texting, right? Not really looking at who's around me. Like situational awareness as a society has gone down immensely. And that's because of earbuds, hoodies, um, noise canceling headphones, phones, social media draws so much of our attention and our willpower away from what's happening around us that a lot of people aren't even living in the moment, you know? Um, just take note of who's around you and what is around you, right? Proxemics, it's a real thing, man. Um, don't live in a constant state of fear, but just be aware. Um, take some stop the bleed classes, get medical supplies, food, water, and dude, get a fucking concealed carry license. Or if you're lucky enough to live in constitutional carry, carry, man. Um, get fit, lift some weights, go for a run every now and then. Doesn't even have to be far. If you run a mile every 2 days, every day, every 3 days, you're doing more than the average person in America will do ever since they left high school. It's it's absurd. Um, the three cases that I just talked about, Irina, CK, and the school shooting, that was all in the same week. And it was only a Wednesday, I believe it was. Let me see. Yeah, it happened on a Wednesday. And that Monday, there was a double homicide on the streets of New York City. An elderly couple got killed during a mugging, right? What did you guys see on the news about that? Anything? It's absurd, man. So much is happening. Um, really just watch out for disinformation, right? You've got um, left wing people trying to claim the shooter was related to CK. The shooter was Republican straight white male who grew up in a MAGA family, right? Even though this dude's stated multiple times that CK creates nothing but hatred and incites violence. His family and his transgender boyfriend um, have stated that he's become more and more radical in the recent days leading up to this, right? Or the recent months leading up to this shooting. Um, the FBI might not be giving us the whole truth. That's the reality of it, right? I personally take everything they say with a grain of salt, as I do with anything else, right? there's just too much going on in the world to think that anyone's honest anymore. Um, at the time, uh, this is from September 14th. There was even rumors about Irina's murderer being released from custody for 30 to 60 days to assess his mental aptitude to even stand trial. Um, this is a guy that had 14 other violent charges. 14. That's absurd. And they were still trying to see if he was okay and trying to release him. What is that, man? And then this week, we've had a multitude of attacks. The last 2 weeks, really, we've had a multitude of attacks on federal agents, police officers, some even being firefighters and EMTs, man. Um, as well as Antifa is now a domestic terrorist organization. Um, you got political parties calling for and or insinuating even more political violence, right? Like the game needs to stop, but it won't. The game will never stop. The blame game will never stop. No one can fess up to it. And that's the world we live in. That is the world we need to, sadly, prepare ourselves for. Um, this is a crazy one, man. Um, there was a shooting in York County, PA. 3 officers were killed while serving a warrant. That same day in like central Alabama area, I don't know, I don't remember what county or city it was in, but a life flight, like an EMT helicopter, was shot at. What is that, dude? One of the medical personnel on board ended up getting injured, but that's 4 people who are there supposed to be figures of public servants and the good guys, quote unquote, that are getting shot at by people for who knows what. You've got people like Hassan and Destiny calling for the killings of conservatives and even borderline moderates being killed in the streets. Even like other left wing leaning people who don't see eye to eye with them on that. Um, and the right's not clear of it either. You've got Donald Trump announcing on stage at Charlie Kirk's memorial service that, quite frankly, he doesn't wish the best for his enemies. Right? That could be taken a multitude of ways, but that can be insinuating more political violence, man. Um, as well as the Antifa situation, right? Potentially leading to military intervention on any massive activities, right? National Guard, Marines. Marines fall under the president, right? He can tell them to do whatever, whenever, at a moment's notice. So for us, I'd really just say, man, like all cops are bad is still very much alive and active. Um, People don't have the same adversity to violence against people in a quote unquote righteous job anymore, right? So much so that they're starting to take it out on medical personnel. Um, the right side of the zoo, man, they're trying to take a moral high road. overall and not pushing for a violent outburst. Really, they're just praying and having vigils and stuff. The leaders, the leaders of the left have been insinuating that more political violence is necessary, so that way the right side of the zoo will actually cool down. When, if you look at the past 5 years, right, you've got the majority of politically motivated violent incidents coming from the left. And that's a shift from where, and now I don't consider them right leaning. I don't consider them part of the right, but they're the media does, right? It used to be neo Nazis were dominating the political violence, or Muslim. Oh, that's a touchy subject. Or Muslim extremists, Islamic extremists were um, dominating the political violence, borderline terrorism, right? It's it's a noticeable shift, and let me just say, I live a stone's throw from a college campus, literally maybe a 3 minute walk. And when I drive around campus to do my thing, it's eerie. I'm not the only one seeing this. I'm not the only one that's aware there's a shift. Even um, everyone feels that something is off. Um, watch out for Antifa. Watch out for what's around you. Watch out for ill-willed people, proxemics, right? Body language, social spacing, right? Stuff like that. Like keep keep that at the back of your mind. Don't be on your phone in public, right? If you have earbuds in, leave one out, or leave the volume down, leave the hear through option on, right? And look out for yourself, man. Look out for your friends, your family, and overall your community, because at the end of the day, you're all you got. Your friends, your family, they're all you have during trying times. Don't let them be alone. Be safe, guys.